What's up?
Test 1, 2, and we are back. All right, everybody, check it out. You're with Nick and Dylan on Throwing Spaghetti.
Hoping it sticks.
Hoping it sticks. Oh, I like that. Hoping it sticks.
Expecting it to work.
Let's see if it works. All right. So there is one thing I want to talk about with this cake thing, though. So we just we just finished up this little segment about the whole thing with the baker and the gay cake and the trans cake and all that. Okay.
I know we're in an era where you can be whatever you want to be. Never in my life have I heard of a cake being gay or transgender. What is a gay cake?
You pulling that?
I'm just kidding.
Gosh.
I'm joking. My God.
Anyway. Okay. So we talked about what should, like, sort of the moral scope of both cases and all that stuff. Okay, so I'm just gonna skip to this. The ramification of that, suing for like hundreds of thousands of dollars over a cake. Do you think that is cool or also a-hole-ish?
That is also a-hole-ish.
Okay, I agree.
I think the baker was being a-hole-ish in denying them the cake. But it's also a-hole-ish to sue for that much money.
Yeah, come on.
Like,
maybe store credit.
Someone was... Yeah, because they want to go back and deal with them.
Well, somebody did, apparently, for a trans cake. But
they sued for store credit?
No, I'm just saying that...
They went back?
They went after... After the first case, there was a second case. I'm just saying.
But you wouldn't sue for store credit if you were the... Anyway.
That was a half joke. Moving on.
Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Anyway. This is like... I heard the other day there was someone who worked for Monsanto, which is a pesticide company.
Okay. Yeah.
So they work with a lot of chemicals. I think they're pesticides. There's a big fuss over Monsanto because they...
We need our assistant to look up.
Where's our assistant for real? But anyway, this person who worked at Monsanto for a long time got cancer.
Uh-oh.
And so they sued Monsanto for tens of millions of dollars.
Oh, they got it from what they were doing? Well, or that's
you cannot prove that.
Okay, that's the claim, though.
That's the claim, is that he got cancer because he was working with all these chemicals, pesticides, and everything at Monsanto.
Gotcha.
I can understand if, you get an illness or if you're sick or injured from work, you have the right to sue.
Right.
Tell me, though, how do you have the right to sue for, let's say, $20 million? For something like cancer that people who don't work at Monsanto also get.
Yeah.
People get cancer.
I don't know.
You cannot, I'm not going to sit here. If I come down with cancer in however many years, I'm not going to be like, well, Dylan made me record with that dumb silver mic. That's what did this to me. I'm going to sue him for $10 million because that's what I deserve.
Yeah,
for this pain and suffering. From this silver mic.
I've always been confused about the pain and suffering clause of like legal action and stuff. Because you're right, it gets up to like multi-millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Like, how did they come to that number?
Well, let's see. How much money does this company make? Okay. Let's take a huge percentage of that. Let's sue them for it. They have the cash. That's how I think. I mean, look at the freaking woman that got... Okay, she was burned pretty badly, but... The McDonald's hot coffee.
Oh yeah,
that thing. She was burned really bad. Actually, I shouldn't.
Really? I don't know much about that case.
She was burned really bad. Never mind. But
millions of dollars, though.
Oh yeah,
millions of dollars.
You find a thumb in your soup?
What?
Millions of dollars.
I'm taking a thumb to Noodles and Company.
Yeah, for real. Right? Take one with you.
I'll chop off my thumb if you will take it there, and then we'll split the profits.
If I'll take it there?
If you'll take it there, put it in your noodles. I'm just kidding.
Oh, you can't because you're clearly missing a thumb. And they would be like, that's your thumb?
Obviously. Yeah. They'd be like, you cut your thumb off and put it in the noodles.
Or it would make a really good story because
they'd probably
look at this poor guy. He lost his thumb a long time ago. So he's already really sad. You know, he sees thumbs and he gets, you know, PTSD, flashbacks, whatever.
Yeah.
And he goes to Noodles and Company, and oh my God, there's a freaking thumb in
Look
his
at that.
noodles. That's even
Dang.
worse. You could sue for more pain and suffering just because you already lost a thumb.
You know what they would do? They would just read the fingerprint and be like, "This is your thumb."
Yeah. But you could be like, yeah, weird. I lost it. Oh, it gets even better. Weird. I can't believe that's my thumb. That's crazy. I lost my thumb 2 years ago when I slammed it in the car door in the parking lot at Noodles and Company. It fell on the ground.
Oh my gosh.
Then a dog pooped on it.
Oh my goodness.
2 years ago.
Wow.
Oh my God. You found my thumb after it had been pooped on in a parking lot?
Wow.
And now it's in my noodles 2 years later?
Poop thumb in the noodles.
Poop thumb.
We're talking E. coli. We're
Bad.
talking parasitic infection.
We're talking a thumb in your noodles.
Yeah, human remains in the noodle.
Yeah.
Cash money.
You could literally
still don't
make
get it,
Noodles and
though.
Company go bankrupt.
I still don't get it though. How they rule in favor of that much.
You got to ask a lawyer. I don't know.
That seems wild.
It is wild. People like to
wild.
take advantage of people with money.
Yeah.
Never tell anyone you have an umbrella policy on your insurance.
Well, I don't even know what that
Never.
is.
Never.
Okay.
Well, if our assistant were here, she could tell you what it is.
She could look it up.
Why,
or
wait,
he-
why are we? Yeah, I was gonna say why are we? Why are we calling our assistant a she?
Oh, we called it she.
He, they,
Oh boy.
Zize.
You want to talk about pronouns?
No, I
Why?
don't know.
Why? Let's do it. You know I'm a Jordan B. Peterson fan.
Who?
Oh boy. That's my guy. Do you know anything about Jordan B. Peterson?
I just said who.
Okay, so he's a clinical psychologist / professor in Canada. And now he's got a couple books out and he's like touring around giving lectures on
Okay, you did tell me about this guy.
Okay. So, yeah, anyone listening, look him up. He's an interesting guy. But he came into fame via scandal because apparently in
Don't we all?
Yeah. In Canada.
Hold on.
What? What are you doing?
I came into fame once via scandal, but we can come back to that.
Write it down on this pad.
Okay. No, I got it.
Oh, okay, you got it. Okay.
Go ahead.
Whatever. All right. So, apparently this bill was going to be passed in Canada that forced people to use the gender pronouns that were asked of them.
Mm-hmm.
Forced them, or else there would be legal action taken against them.
Mm-hmm.
So he came out and fought it and basically said, like, that's a compulsion of speech. It's a
Mhm.
violation of freedom of speech.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone thinks that he's like this alt-right, transphobic guy, and he's not. He really doesn't. From what I've read, I don't want
Mhm.
to speak for him too much, but
Mhm.
from what I've read and listened to and stuff, it's like generally he will call people what they want to be called. But if
Mhm.
you make a law that says he has to, that's where he has a problem because it creates. No, there's a slippery slope there about laws coming up about what you can and can't say. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you might slip into a sort of fascist type of society where you know, I mean, it can get crazy, which is what he was saying. It's like once you open this door, when you can take legal action against someone for what they say or don't say,
Mm-hmm.
who knows where it's going to stop?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, how long before we can stop asking questions, before we can not criticize the government
Mm-hmm.
verbally, you know, stuff like that. I don't know if he actually said those points, but I'm just saying generally that's what his position seems to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What do you think about that?
Wow. A lot of people in positions of power end up stepping down if it comes out that they called someone a name.
What do you mean?
Like, hey, stupid. They have to step down if they say that. No, just kidding.
What is?
But
Okay.
if they, if you're in a position of power, you call someone the N-word and it gets out.
Yeah.
You're done. Right?
I don't know.
Because you can't call people that.
Define power.
Papa John. He Why is that funny? That's not funny. I don't think that's funny.
Like the pizza guy?
Yes, you don't know about Papa John?
Wait. So I asked you. Wait. Back it up. I asked you to define power.
Okay, no, yeah, that's
You said
okay. He's a CEO.
Okay.
He was a CEO.
the standards
Okay.
are low for power these days.
Oh my God. Yeah. No. Okay. He's a CEO of a
Hang on though. I know who Papa John is.
billion-dollar company.
Yeah. Are you defining power right now?
I'm defining power in a relevant.
You giving me an example of
Yes.
power? Okay.
Papa John, CEO, billion-dollar company, made a racial remark on a conference call
Okay.
and immediately had to step down.
He stepped down
Yes. Because you can't
The guy
use those words.
from the
You
commercials.
can't call people that. Yes, Papa John from the commercial.
What? No way.
This is old news.
Never heard of it.
As in
before.
like a couple months.
I did not hear about this.
Anyway, because you can't say things like that. That's not like no.
So wait.
No.
So wait. So what? How does this relate to the Peterson thing?
Because although it's not a law that you can't call someone the N-word, you just shouldn't do it. It's not how they want to be talked to. It's not how you should talk to people. And so it applies to the other thing, because if that's not how someone wants to be addressed and if that's not how they want to be talked to, you shouldn't do it.
Okay.
You don't have the right to tell someone else what they should identify as.
But no one has the right to tell me what to say.
I think they were just trying to set a legal precedent to recognize more than two genders.
No, the legal precedent was you have to say this, and if you don't, there will be legal action taken against
I mean,
you.
they're trying to make progress.
That's progress. You think that's progress? But what about what I just said? Like, what if they illegalize something else that would be seemingly harmless?
Like what?
Okay, so like everyone's talking about hate speech, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what if they get this whole list of what's considered hate speech, which is like, how do you define hate speech? And they legalize it. Or, I'm sorry, they illegalize hate speech, right?
Mm-hmm.
So some people would say like asking someone's race is hate speech or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
What if they illegalize that? And then you can't ask what someone's race is.
Mm-hmm.
You think that's reasonable? That's the door that would be opening.
I guess. I mean, that's true.
Yeah. And also, then hate speech is very subjective. So
Mm-hmm.
you could just redefine those terms on a legal basis and change whatever you want
Mm-hmm.
to be hate speech. And then you can illegalize whatever type of speech you want,
Mm-hmm.
which opens up an opportunity for any particular ideology to be spread, and
I think
all others to be squashed
Mm-hmm.
via language control.
This comes down more to discrimination, I think, really.
What do you mean?
If you do not recognize someone, gender is also a subjective thing. And if you do not...
Sorry, go ahead.
Gender is also very subjective.
Meh. I do want to talk about that. That's fascinating
Okay.
stuff.
When I say gender is subjective, I mean you can't say that people don't, like, you cannot tell me that people don't identify as a gender that they were not assigned at birth.
I would argue that people are not assigned gender at birth. But go ahead with your point.
People do not. Okay, you can't argue that there are some people that do not identify with the sex that they are. Right?
Well,
that's a fact.
according to the new rules,
No.
sex and gender are different things, right?
They are. Yes.
Okay. Well, if you don't identify with your sex, then you have some sort of body dysphoria happening. People can have that with their hand,
I'm sorry. Okay.
with their foot.
Okay. Stop.
Okay.
Let me rephrase.
I'm trying to speak within the confines of the new rules. That's all.
Listen. I'm just saying. There are people whose gender does not line up with their sex. Is that correct? To them.
Sure.
I mean, how is that not true? There are people like that.
This is why I want to talk about it. It's fascinating to me because there are sort of like typical gender qualifiers, I guess you would say, right? Like when they say pink is for girls and blue is for boys. Something that's like the simplest thing, right?
Okay.
You have these attributes for each gender.
Mm-hmm.
And it's ironic because it seems like the message here is that everyone's kind of plastic and you can just be whatever you want, and that's that. I kind of agree with that, but I don't agree with everyone applying a different label to what they want, because I think that makes things more divisive. So when you say, do people reject their gender, or their gender doesn't match their sex, it's like the idea of gender is kind of arbitrary to me in a way.
Okay.
It's like, I really think it would be easier for everyone if you're born with what you're born with, right?
Mm-hmm.
You dress the way you want to dress.
Mm-hmm.
Sleep with who you want to sleep with.
Mm-hmm.
That's the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need 70 different genders, titles, to give everyone this sort of like place in the world. That's so weird to me.
But gender is a lot like masculinity and femininity.
Define
it's
that.
a spectrum.
Define
it's
that.
all a spectrum. You can be less defined sociologically or defined culturally. You can be like, we are both males.
Yeah.
One of us can be more feminine than the other.
Okay.
And so that person who falls into a distinctly different subcategory of being a male wants to identify as something different because they are something different.
But isn't man and male, like male is your genitalia, right? Male and female, and then man and woman is like your gender, right?
Sure.
So what I'm just trying to clarify the terms, because you said that if we're less, what did you say? I'm getting mixed up now.
One of us can be less masculine than the other, or more masculine.
That doesn't make us not men, though, or males. Here's my thing. I think men and male are synonymous, and woman and female are synonymous, and this whole idea of a spectrum means that you have to have an objective standard on either side of the spectrum. At the very end of both sides, man and woman, you have to have an objective standard of what it means to be man and woman. And no one that I've talked to has been able to define that for me.
I don't think that's true. I don't think you have to have an objective standard.
Well, then where's the spectrum? What is
it's
it? It's
what
like,
you choose for yourself.
It's a formless.
It's what you choose to identify as. I'm not saying that I think people should be put into categories, because I don't. That's how we end up with so much inequality.
Yeah.
Is because a minority can be put in a minority category.
Yeah.
A Caucasian person is in a Caucasian category.
Okay.
Just purely by separating them, you have the ability to think that one is superior to the other.
Okay.
I don't think that we should be making more categories for things. I don't think it's really going to help.
I would agree.
But people like a way to express themselves. It's more for the perspective of other people, I think. Because if I'm a male,
right,
and I identify as what is it called when you're like genderless?
Non-binary.
There you go.
Okay.
I identify as non-binary, right?
Yeah.
But if I don't have a word for that, if I don't know how to express that, and I'm just a male,
yeah,
then I'm a very different male than someone who is like you.
Okay, but I'm a very different male than The Rock.
Right, but
so where's the standard? Where's
you're talking about, like body types.
Okay, well what are you talking about?
Well, maybe, okay, let's say physically I'm a male.
Okay.
I'm attracted to males and females.
Well, that's another thing.
And I dress in a non-gender specific way.
Hang on. So you have
I don't want to be put in the same category as someone who is a typical, stereotypical masculine male who dates females, dresses how a man, quote, should. I want to be able to say what I am because I'm not that.
Okay, why is that so necessary to have this thing that you are? Why can't it be, I have a penis, I like women, and I have interests that may not line up with other people who have interests?
Because you don't feel like that.
Why?
If I am the person I just described.
What was your person again? You have a penis, you like men and women.
Like men and women, dress in a non-gender specific,
okay,
whatever.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like, I'm a man.
Why?
Because I don't identify with what a typical man does.
Typical can change. So that's what I'm saying. This entire thing is kind of silly because there's no objective standard for what a man is. The objective can change.
Which is why you can call yourself whatever you want. I could be like that, date those people, dress like that, and I could call myself a man, and I would be.
Okay, so
but I can also call myself something completely different, and that's fine.
Don't you think that's just nonsensical? Like,
no,
it's just creating a little slice of minority for yourself.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
No, because there are other people who will identify with that.
Yeah,
I think it comes down to looking beyond just physical things, or I'm saying it's more complicated. It's more complicated than man, woman, straight, gay, bi.
You think so?
Yes. There's so many in-betweens. It's hard to...
I don't see that.
Because
I think we're saying the same thing. We're just treating it differently. Like we're applying it to life differently.
There are just so many in-betweens.
And I would say that there are so many in-betweens that they equate to nothing. There is no in-between. It's just, you know what I'm saying? Like there's so much that you could do, and there's so many different ways that you could combine different things to say that I'm this type of qualifier person. Then it just becomes, what's the word? I don't know. It just becomes irrelevant at some point.
It should. In a perfect world, we would be, I'm a man and I'm a woman. Or, no, in a perfect world, it would be, I'm a person. And this is how I dress and this is who I like. And it's whatever. But we're in a place right now where people feel the need to put a label on themselves so that it can explain them to other people.
Why do they need explained is my big thing. Because like I could identify as
because you could see someone who you feel like is physically a male and they can dress like a woman.
Yeah.
And you could assume that they're gay.
Sure.
But they might be straight.
Who cares?
Or they might be somewhere in between. And so they want something to call themselves if they're somewhere in between.
But from what I understand,
because there is a subcategory of people who are this, and this. And there was no name for it before. They want that to be recognized because they don't fit in gay, straight, male, female. They want a different category because they don't fit into those traditional categories.
Okay. Are we talking about sexual orientation?
We're talking about it.
Or identification? Oh. Okay, but I thought that they were supposed to be separate. Like just because you're a trans woman doesn't mean that you like men. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Like sexuality is not a qualifier for being trans or something like that.
Right. So I'm just explaining that people do not necessarily fit into
tell me
the two categories that we've set.
Okay, this is what I'm trying to get to. What are the categories and how do you define them? Because you're saying that some people don't fit into them. Well, if you can't define what it is, you don't know how you don't fit into it.
I mean, you can Google it. You can define what these categories are.
No, you can't.
You can.
No. Not in a real way.
Yes.
No, not in a real
Yes.
blanket. Not in an objective way. You can come up with stereotypes.
It doesn't have to be objective.
It does have to be objective. You can come up with woman stereotypes or man stereotypes, but people have not universally fit into these things, these stereotypes universally.
And that's why
Ever.
they are enough outside of it that they want recognition for the category that they do fit into.
Everyone's outside of it is what I'm saying.
But
Everyone's outside.
when let's say you have okay, so you have a population of people.
Yeah.
If one person out of the whole population is different, doesn't fit into one of those categories,
Sure.
then you might look at them as an anomaly or as something odd, which is
Okay.
how they were looked at a long time ago.
Who are we talking about?
Okay, like if you have man, woman, if
Yeah.
there's someone in between who doesn't identify as a man, they don't feel like a man, they don't feel like a woman.
Okay, so right off the bat from the premise, you can't define what man, woman is. You're
No,
saying
but
you
I'm
have
saying,
man,
okay,
woman, and in between.
okay.
What
Listen. So out of the male population, let's say they're all the same. Stop holding my hand. Everyone in this male population is the same, okay?
Okay.
That's never going to happen, but let's say that in this situation,
All right.
all of the males are the same, and
Sure.
all of the females are the same.
Okay.
There's someone that is born physically as a male, but they are not the same as all the other males who are the same. Okay?
Okay.
But they're not like the females who are all the same. They're not like either one of them.
Okay.
So in that kind of population where you just have one person who's like that, you might look at them as something weird, something different,
Okay.
something wrong, which is how people like that were looked at a long time ago because it wasn't common.
All right.
But let's say you have this population of males who are all the same, population of females who are all the same, but out of that population of males, you have 50 people who feel the same as each other, but feel differently than the males and differently than the females, but they're the same as each other.
Differently, all in the same way?
Yes, these 50 people are all the same, but they're not the same as the population of males. They're not the same as the population of females.
Okay.
That's the point where it's like, okay, this is real. This is recognizable.
Okay, but
That needs to be called something.
there are some problems, though. In your experiment, all the men are the same,
Mm-hmm.
and all the women are the same.
Mm-hmm.
That's not reality.
It's not.
There's
But,
no objective man or objective woman. Therefore, you cannot determine this sort of.
but I'm saying
this thing
there
in the
are
middle.
people who are so outside of the traditional thought of what a man is
Okay.
that they feel it's worthy of being called something else because they're so far outside of that.
Okay. What if I feel so far out from the human race that I identify as something non-human?
Have
Should
you
that
seen
be taken seriously?
Have you seen the Vine with the
No.
guy who's like, in all forms except physical, I'm a wolf, and then he's like,
Oh my gosh. So what do you think about that? Like,
I mean, hey,
no.
no. So that is the situation, like the person who is the only one. And I know that there's not only one person who's like that, but I'm saying like that guy. We think that guy's weird because that's a very, 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 very uncommon thing.
I don't care.
It's not
if there
uncommon
were-
to not identify.
if
It's
there
not
were-
uncommon to
no.
be a human and not identify as male or female.
No.
It is very uncommon to identify as a wolf.
I don't care how common
That
it is.
is what makes it.
It's insane. It's insane. If you think you're a wolf and
You're-
you're a person, you're insane. That's all that it is. No, you're insane.
Because you're
No,
not a wolf.
Because
That's
you're
right.
not
but,
a wolf.
But
And
it's because it's we associated sex and gender with being synonymous for too long.
why?
That's the thing, because we didn't recognize for a long time that you can be born a male but be something else.
Oh my gosh.
You can.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
They should be synonymous, and you're
They're
born.
not.
Listen, you're born with what you have, right? You're born with what you're born with. Now, okay, if we're talking about like sex changes, I'm talking outside of that, okay? Because that has like a physical dysphoria.
You're
thing
talking
happening.
about the disconnect between your mind and your body.
And your body, right? So, no. I'm talking about the cultural, like what you're talking about, the traditional, what it means to be man, what it means to be woman,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't prefer to go with whatever gender supposedly matches what's in between your legs.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm talking about. Now, like physical sex changes, I think there's something more to that.
Okay.
Because it's like a physical, like I said, it's a dysphoria thing. It's not your mind doesn't match what society seems to be telling you should like. It's your mind physical, like actually doesn't match your physical body, which is, I think, a different thing. Because that happens with, like I said, with people's limbs. Like they have dysphoria with their arm and they feel that they want to chop off their arm because it's not theirs. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I feel that's a variation of that being applied to their genitalia, and they feel like they have the wrong genitalia. Okay. So that's a separate thing in my mind. But when it comes to like going about like existing in the world as a different gender, short of physical reassignment, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's silly. And it's like there's no need to draw these lines, in my opinion. And I'm really speaking to,
Is that because it's fluid or because it's not?
because it's not what, look, it's like man and male seem to have different definitions now.
Mm-hmm.
I think they both mean you have a penis. I don't think either one means that you like trucks or that you like women or that you like football.
Okay. You're almost there. You're like teeter-tottering.
I mean, I don't think that the gender word, there's, like I said, there's no objective for what it is to be a man. There's no
So
objective
do you think there
standard.
should be no gender?
Pretty much. I think people just shouldn't worry about it. Like,
Okay. Yeah,
wait.
okay.
Let
I
me
can
say what I'm saying. So like you're if you're born with a penis, you have a penis, okay?
Who, me?
No, this person that I'm
God,
just saying,
no.
if you if you have a penis, that's what you have. If you happen to like Gossip Girl over Batman, okay, that doesn't make you a girl, though. In my opinion, you're still a boy, you're still a male or a man or whatever you want to say. I think all those words are synonymous, in my opinion. This idea of gender being separated as this sort of fluid idea that results mostly to fashion and nothing else is silly. It's silly, yeah. To like fashion and interests
fashion.
and interests. Like what? Look, I've heard people say, "Oh, I'm gender fluid." Or I'm non-binary, right? Because yesterday I felt more feminine and I wanted to wear this sort of like magenta shirt, but today I want to wear a black shirt.
I feel like it's more complicated than magenta and black.
But I've heard people say that, like today I felt more masculine, so I wore jeans and a button down. You know, okay, that doesn't make you anything. That doesn't make you one gender or the other. It just means you have a different fashion sense. And by that standard, I could identify as all kinds of stuff. Because some people would say that, you know, I don't know, being an artist is more feminine or something, you know, or like I have almost zero interest in sports or cars or any of that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Love cars.
Yeah, I don't. I'm very much an artist, and I do love stories. I really like movies that have a good love story in there. Some people might say, "Oh, that's a feminine quality. You might want to think about your gender identification." No, I'm a man, and I like certain things. And
the key there is that no one else can tell you that. They should not be able to say that's feminine, you should rethink your gender. But the people who have rethought their gender shouldn't be told, no, stop, that's wrong, you're a boy. You know what I mean? But
sure,
I'm with you in that maybe there should just be no gender. I'm with you there. But since there are genders, then you cannot stop at man and woman.
You can't stop what?
You can't stop the naming convention at man, woman. If you're going to use labels, you got to use them all.
I think that man, woman should simply be used to define what you're born with.
Well, that's male, female.
Okay, well then, like I said, they should be synonymous.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no objective standard for either one in terms of gender, like fashion and interests and things like that.
Okay.
There's no objective standard.
I'm saying that maybe there shouldn't be any labels.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, but since there are labels, then we should recognize all labels.
No.
I feel like it's all or nothing. You can't pick and choose
No.
which labels you recognize. If you're going to call someone a man, then you ought to be able to call someone, I don't know what the terms are, but if you're comfortable calling someone a man because that's how they identify, then you should be comfortable calling someone something else because of how they identify.
I think that's well, okay, that's whether or not that is reasonable is up for debate. Whether there should be legal action taken against those who don't comply.
I think that is just
I think that's weird.
I think that's just a forced hand.
Yeah.
So that they can make social progress that wasn't being made.
That's not progress.
I don't think it's not progress.
It's not progress. What?
I don't think that. I see it.
You'd be fine with that?
I would be. Well, I wouldn't care because I would do it. I would call people what they want to be called.
Okay,
so
but
a law for me would not change anything.
What if someone caught you off guard? Or what if, if I'm gender fluid, then I could be female today, but I forgot to tell you about it. And then you referred to me as a man. And then let's say I caught it on the podcast, I caught it on recording that you did that. And then I want to take legal action against you for misgendering me.
Okay. And I'll say,
you're cool with that?
I wasn't aware. Sorry, I assumed.
But
what would you like to be called?
Should you even have to say that?
If you have the right to sue someone, which I don't really agree with that.
Okay.
You shouldn't sue someone for calling you the wrong name. It didn't financially hurt you.
Right.
It did not.
It's petty.
All you have to do, it is petty. It's doing
super petty.
The most. All you should do, if someone misgenders you, it's pretty easy to say that's not how I identify. Please refer to me as this.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine. But if you do have the right to sue someone for misgendering you, then it should also be a law that you have to disclose how you would like to be identified up front. Because you're not misgender. Like, you can't expect people to assume your gender because that's part of the problem in the first place.
It's insane. Especially with 70 different freaking qualifications.
Right. So you should have to disclose what you identify as a precursor.
Do you think that's applicable though? Honestly, do you think that's a practical approach? Are all transgender people gonna walk around with name tags that say exactly how they identify?
Doubt it.
What about transracial?
Transracial. I'm not familiar with this concept.
Because
not at all.
Not at all. So you haven't heard of Rachel Delisol? I think her name is.
Is this the woman that was she got hired as the something?
Yeah.
She tried. Is this the NAACP?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she was the president of a local chapter of the NAACP.
And she was white.
Everyone thought she's black, but she's white.
Why did they think she was black?
Because she looked kind of black.
Okay.
And she made it. I mean, she adopted the style of what she perceived to be popular black styles, pretty much. Mm-hmm. So she had braids and darker. I don't know if she tanned or if she put stuff on to make herself darker or something.
Well,
she seemed darker than
a white person.
Actually, I don't know. Now that I'm thinking about how dark she might have been, I'm not sure. Maybe she tanned. No, there were some dark looking pictures, so maybe she tanned. I don't know, but yeah, she did. There's some pictures. I'm gonna bring it up on my phone so that you can just see.
Okay, bring it up.
Because it was convincing, but it came out that she was white and everyone was up in arms. There's a documentary on Netflix
about her.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
I didn't know that was big enough.
So she had to step down from the NAACP for being white.
That was many.
Okay, look at her. Check that out.
Okay. Yeah, she looks
like mixed, maybe.
Well,
What?
this first picture, I'm not too sure, but yeah, you spelled that wrong. But
Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna
know.
click-
Gosh.
I mean, that's a strange last name. Well,
Let me see.
this one, she just looks like she has.
She got a
She
wig
looks
on.
like a white person with a wig on. But yeah, like she. Okay, I see it.
I mean, you can see what's going on.
So what?
Yeah, that's her.
Yeah,
from
that-
she's like a teenager, right?
Yeah, she's white. She's straight up white.
Straight white.
That's weird.
Okay. So, Nick, if what...
I'm just shooketh by these photos. I remember this happening, but I couldn't remember what she looked like.
So she claims to be
Why
trans.
are there so many pictures with her next to Rihanna? Oh,
I
Rihanna
don't
calls
know.
Rachel Dolezal a bit of a hero.
Really?
Really?
Really? I didn't know that. So, listen.
Rihanna, my Bahama mama. Always Jamaican me happy.
Jamaican me happy, man. Liberals are insane. Have you seen those videos?
Wait, what?
I don't know. I think it's a YouTube channel, but they always end with this guy.
I'm sorry, Rihanna's not even from Jamaica.
She's not. Look at us being all racist.
Yeah, she's from oh god,
She's from
Barbados. She's from Barbados.
somewhere. Oh.
Yeah.
Well.
Okay. Caribbean.
All right.
She's in the Caribbean,
So
right? Yeah,
I don't know. So anyway, what Rachel Delisle talks about. Am I cramping on your space here?
No,
Okay.
I wasn't crossing my arms to
Okay.
close you off. I was crossing my arms.
She's claiming transracial.
Okay. She's
Rachel is transracial.
Okay.
Okay. Now why okay, well let me just first ask, what do you think about that?
It's an interesting concept.
Go on. Go on, have you?
I want to immediately discount that because like just what I feel right off the bat is that that's not a thing because you are white or you're not white or you're whatever.
Oh. It's all good. Go ahead.
But then I realize, oh shoot, I sound just like someone speaking against transgenderism and I shouldn't do that.
Exactly. Okay, but wait a minute.
But
Yeah.
there are ways to identify your race. While there shouldn't be any labels for race, there are ways to identify that.
That's what? Explain
All
that.
back through your. Oh, I'm peeking again.
You are
God.
peeking. Here, let me turn the gain down.
Yeah. Because I like to be close to this.
How,
mic. A little
how's that?
Up a little bit. Right?
Hold up. There you go.
Through all of your ancestry and everything, that makes up who you are racially or ethnically.
Okay.
So, there are tons and thousands, whatever, millions of labels that you can give yourself for your ethnicity. Do you know what I mean?
No. What? Just based on your background, you have a bunch of different labels that you can add to yourself. Is what
I
you're
mean,
saying?
I could call myself an African Irish, an Irish African. I
Okay.
could.
Yeah, if you're doing
I-
like a background analysis, I suppose you could. But
Yeah. So
You-
what I'm saying is, when it comes to gender, there are all these different labels. People just have to recognize them.
oh my gosh!
With race, I think it's a little more difficult, probably.
But you just made a case that
I made a
it's-
case.
that it can work with race.
It can. It's harder to grasp for me personally. It's harder for me to grasp.
What?
But I will. I'm not gonna lie. If this white woman was like,
with
I'm
a
black,
with a capital W.
with a capital white woman
Go
was
ahead.
like, I'm black.
That's
like
what she says.
White, blue eyes, blonde hair. If that kind of person
Yeah.
was like, I'm black today,
Mhm.
I'd be like, no, you're clinically insane.
Come on now.
But,
Okay. Now, how does that not apply to
that's
gender?
that's what I would
serious?
want to do immediately. But then I think about it, and I'm like, as much as I don't understand how you can be black today, I can't. Like I
You're killing me.
can't tell you
Yes, you can.
that you're wrong. Like,
yes,
as
you
much
can.
as I don't understand how you can be a female one day and a male, or not, no, how you can be a woman one day and a man the next day.
Come on.
I don't understand how it works. I don't have that brain, but you know what? I'm not you. I will not see it that way, but
Nick.
I can respect that I do not see it that way, and I will let you call yourself whatever you want to call yourself.
What?
I don't think, though, that she should have been fired.
No, that's stupid.
That's just wrong.
That is stupid because now she can't help. Now she can't help black people at all. At least not the way she was.
Yeah.
But she's not black. Look, no. And her whole thing is like she likes braids and she likes, you know, like
okay, fair.
Okay, like it's just style. It's the same thing with gender most of the time.
Well, maybe
Fashion.
maybe it's
Which-
her fur. No.
Bing.
I hope we have 90s babies listening to this.
I hope so. I hope so.
Maybe it's going back to something that you mentioned earlier about this just being a cultural thing.
Yeah, which I don't agree with.
Because I don't think there's anything besides the color of your skin that is physically different between races.
Right, but also
but there are cultural like if
No.
you don't have to look at race as a physical thing, you can look at it as a cultural thing.
No, you can't.
You can.
No, you
yes,
can't.
you can.
No, you can't.
Well, race doesn't exist.
Not anymore.
Race is not a thing.
Race is a thing.
No, it's not.
Why not?
Because
Wait a
there's
second,
nothing
wait a second, wait.
fundamentally different about like between white people and black people other than where they came from on the earth.
Right.
Who's
Wait,
closer
what are
to
you
the
talking
sun?
about?
I'm
What-
saying
are
that
there
race
different breeds?
is not a thing.
No, are there different like breeds of
Cultural
dogs
differences.
or any animal? Like there's
Yeah, but
different
those are different like
variations. There's
But-
variations.
But those are like scientifically different names. A German Shepherd is not the same as a poodle.
Okay.
They don't have the same scientific name.
What?
All of us are Homo sapiens.
Sure.
That is true. We're just different colors. That
Not
does
just
not,
different colors.
Yes,
though.
just
No,
different
no, no, no,
colors.
no. Have you ever
Yes.
seen like an albino black person? They don't look white. They look like a white black person. There's other features, or like a Chinese
But
person.
it's not a color. It's not.
compare-
It's where you come from on the earth.
I feel like this is a repeat of Joe Rogan's thing. We might get called plagiarizers, but
I don't even know who that is.
oh well, he does podcasts, but he had this exact same conversation. Someone was like, "Race is a construct."
It is.
It's not a construct.
It's completely
Come
a
on.
social contract.
So he said, compare someone from Nigeria to someone from Japan. You tell me there's not two different races going on there?
No,
Why not?
because I think there are people that look different for. What is the freaking word? There are people that look different, based like for regional reasons.
Okay.
Just where you come from on the earth.
Okay.
What separates them, what truly separates them,
Yeah.
is their cultures. They have different cultures. I think we confuse race and culture a lot.
I don't.
And maybe when you're calling, maybe that should be what race means. Because really, there's not anything different between someone born in Japan and someone born in Nigeria. Back in the days when those people first came about, I don't even know how to say that.
I don't either.
If you forget everything that if you can put all other things aside,
Yeah.
forget about today's world. There's nothing different between those two people other than how they grew and adapted in the region where they are.
Which creates different races.
Because really, no, but race should not have anything to do with color.
What?
Because that's not what makes them different. It's where they are. That's what makes them
No,
different.
that's culture.
Yes.
That's not race. That's Nick. Okay,
Then
but
there's
look,
no race.
But there's okay. You cannot deny that there's a difference between someone from Japan and someone from Nigeria
In what
or
aspect?
Egypt.
In
In the
what-
physical aspect,
Physically,
Right.
yes.
and there are lines. There are like family lines that support. Like they continue to look the same.
But
right?
you're mixing. But you
No,
are
but wait,
mixing
but no,
culture and race.
Listen, no, I'm not talking about culture. I'm talking about race. You can't deny that there are groups or variants of human beings that have physical differences that are consistent within their own
Yes,
line,
that's
right?
true.
Okay,
Based on
so
where they come from.
you have to have some sort of language to differentiate.
But
those.
language isn't based on race either. It's just based on where you are.
What? No,
Yeah.
I'm saying you. Everyone's no, because you're saying that there's no race. There absolutely is. We're just gonna call it something else. If we do away with the word race, some other word will replace that.
There are categories.
Yeah.
We call those categories races. But the problem is that race and culture, or race and language, have been intertwined.
So you do believe that there are races?
I believe that there are distinct physical differences between people based on where they originate from. But I don't think
that's a race.
I don't think
that's a race. I think you're trying to preemptively defend what you think I'm saying, which is that culture and race are permanently intertwined. That's not what I'm saying. I'm actually very much against that idea.
That's good.
Yeah. But there is race. There are races. You can't... What are you talking about? You can't deny that. There are races.
But there's not... The problem is that people attribute qualities or characteristics to a race when that's not true.
No, that's wrong. You shouldn't do that. No, you shouldn't do that.
Right. So we're on the same page.
But there are races. You said that race is a construct. I'm telling you it's not a construct.
Okay, I'm saying race was made.
No.
Yes.
What?
Just in the way that all these different genders were made. They wanted to identify something that's different. The only difference with race is that there's a very obvious physical difference. I can look at someone,
right,
and just based on their characteristics, you might be able to tell what part of the world they came from.
Right.
If you study that.
Okay.
But I'm saying gender is like that. How there are all these different races, and you can tell these things, or people can tell you what they are. The only difference between that and gender is that you can't see the gender. You have to be told.
It's made up. It's made up. It's made up. What do you mean?
They're categories. They are categories.
No, Nick,
they're both completely unnecessary. We do not have to have any genders.
You do.
We do not
have to have two at least.
No,
you have to have two.
Nope.
Yeah, you do.
Nope. There are people with penises, people with vaginas. They don't have to have genders.
Okay, we're on the same page.
Okay.
Yes, penis and vagina. You have to. Yes,
right.
There has to be language to delineate from one from the other.
No, we're all people.
But some of us.
But
have
you can
penises.
say I'm a person with a penis.
What? So
you can be
wait, no, wait. So you would do away with male and female?
Whatever.
What do you mean whatever?
Okay. What do you? Here's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Just like you could say we're all people. Some people have penises and facial hair. Some people have vaginas and not facial hair.
Or okay.
But or vaginas and facial hair.
I mean, or
right.
no facial hair. I mean, yeah, my buddy is really struggling with facial hair. He's like,
if you look at that model, you can just as easily say we're all people. Some are dark, some are light. Some have eyes like this, some have eyes like this, some have noses like this, some have noses like this, but they're all people. They're all the same people. They come from different parts of the earth. That's what gives them different characteristics, but you don't have to call it a race, and you don't have to identify it that way. We have this strange need to identify all these things.
It's reality, though. When you look at I'm going to use race the way that we use race, okay? So when you look at a race, there are common aspects amongst that race. And like you said, you can probably tell where their line began or something like that. Mm-hmm. What part of the world, blah, blah, blah. That's just an observable fact.
Well, that's ethnicity, actually.
Okay, well, it's observable is what I'm saying. It's not made up. It's observable. Just like penis and vagina are observable.
You know what?
They're the only two variations. I mean, there's the intersex thing, but it's very, very rare. And it's usually a combination of something that is typically male or typically female. There's no like alien sort of genitalia that shows up that we've never seen before. It's not like that. Oh. It's one or the other. So you have to have the language to identify these things. Okay. Because it's in front of you. It's real. Wait a second. Now, when you talk about 70 different genders, that's not in front of you. That's just That's not for you. You're just making it up.
No.
Yeah.
No.
You're putting yourself into this category that you don't necessarily have to be in.
Mm-hmm.
I could put myself into one of those categories based on my interests, which are not they're not typically, I can't really say that my interests are usually, stereotypically masculine.
Mm-hmm.
So I can put myself in that, but there's no need for it. There's
Mm-hmm.
no need for it. All that we have to do is observe what's in front of us,
Mm-hmm.
and then come up with language to define it.
But you're not looking at race and gender the same way.
Why?
Because actually, I shouldn't even use the word race. I should be talking about ethnicity.
All right.
But
I gotta pee.
No. Hold on. Give me 2 seconds.
All right.
But
Hit it.
that is your naming convention of you're a man, you're a woman
Yeah.
by looking at what's in front of you. That would be the same as saying you're black, you're African or whatever,
Okay.
and you're white.
Okay.
When really, there's white people who are from... There are white people who are from Switzerland. There are white people who are from California.
Okay.
There are white... Like, you're blanketing
No,
all
I'm
that.
not.
So you're saying that when it comes to, quote, race,
Yeah.
ethnicity,
Yeah.
you say, well, we need all these different labels, right? Because people are not just one or the other. Right?
Wait, what? You said with
So
race?
you're saying, yeah.
With race?
Yes.
Yes, because that's what's in front of you.
But it's not always what's in front of you.
It is.
No.
It is.
No.
Why?
Because I lived with people who are from the continent of Africa.
Okay.
And in places like that, like I had 2 of my roommates were from Nigeria,
Okay.
not from the same tribe.
Okay.
They know that. I can't just say you're Nigerian because when you're Nigerian, you don't think of it as just being Nigerian. You think of it as coming from your tribe. That's not something I can see. I can't just look at them and know
Okay.
you are not just African. You're not just Nigerian.
Are
You
they-
are this tribe.
Are they black?
They are physically...
So you know they're not white.
I
is
know
what
they're
I'm
not
telling
white,
you.
but what are all the labels that you feel are necessary when it comes to ethnicity?
I don't know. I just know that.
Because people in countries like Nigeria, their race is not black to them. Their race is this tribe, or this tribe, or this tribe.
Okay.
That's
okay,
their
wait.
race to them.
So I guess race should probably be defined scientifically, because can't they tell people's race based on like bone samples and stuff like that?
DNA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
Ethnicity,
that's
they
probably
can tell their
that's
ethnicity.
probably as far as it should go. Probably.
Well, ethnicity is
I'm
more
not a
of
scientist, but-
Ethnicity is like a regional thing
Ethnicity is regional.
where lines are drawn. So you can say you come from... I mean, you can do it to it like certain tribes, but if you do a DNA sample or whatever, they can tell what country you came from, what tribe you
Okay.
came from. That's like...
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have the magic answer on what language should be used. I just feel that there are clearly different variations of human beings, and not
Right.
just like random variations, like,
Right.
obviously different categories.
But in the same way that my one Nigerian roommate does not want to be called the same thing as the other Nigerian roommate,
Okay.
should show you that there's not just one definition of what a Nigerian person is. Right?
Okay, but they're both from Nigeria, right?
But they don't want to be called Nigerians because they do not identify as a Nigerian. They identify as I'm from this tribe and I'm from this tribe.
In Nigeria.
They live in Nigeria,
Okay.
but that has nothing to do with who they are.
Well,
That's why they don't want
what?
to be called Nigerian.
What do you mean it
want
has
to be-
nothing? No, their tribe is in Nigeria, though.
But it's not because it's in Nigeria.
What do you mean?
There were
not
all these
because?
different tribes in Africa, and when Africa was colonized, they drew this line. Okay, this is going to be Nigeria.
Okay.
We're going to try to put together all these tribes that don't get along, that don't know each other, that don't identify as the same thing. We're going to make them all Nigerian people. And they did not subscribe to that.
Okay. But on a biological level,
they're not Nigerian biologically.
Okay, so what's
they're this tribe?
Okay, so there's got to be some sort of biological standard, right?
For
like if they look at like a mummy or something to figure out if they're black or white or whatever, right?
Okay,
can they find that scientifically?
Like where you come from?
No, like what color you are.
What color your skin is?
Sure.
Not by your bones.
Or
they could use like correlation to say your bone structure's like this. You're probably from this part of the earth, so you're probably this color because of where you fall in relation to the equator.
Okay.
You know.
Gotcha. I don't know, man.
But it's not like if you have these kind of bones, you are this color. I'm just saying, in the same way that they do not want to be called Nigerians because they don't identify as Nigerians. They identify as this and this.
Okay.
You should be able to see that someone doesn't want to be called a man because he doesn't identify as a man. He identifies as something else. He does not subscribe to the belief that he's a man, regardless of what you see.
You'd have to define man, though, is my thing. That's the whole hang-up. There has to be an objective standard for what a man is. And I would say that
the man tribe. The big man tribe.
What it was.
There's nothing that constitutes what a Nigerian person is other than that they fall into this region.
Right. That's easy.
Okay.
Like we're American because we're born in America. That's
okay.
that. We're Americans.
Okay. Well, if you are, I mean, there's a cultural stereotype of man, right?
Sure. There's a stereotype. Yeah.
And more people who are males fall into that category than people who don't. That's why we think of that as man. No, there's not a dictionary definition. I mean, there is, but there's not a one-size-fits-all definition of this is a man.
Okay.
But most of us who are males do fit into what we were taught is a man. So that's how we identify.
I would disagree with that.
And so when there are people who don't identify as what they were taught is a man, they do not think they're a man. And they shouldn't have to be called a man because they don't. They're not.
So is it all about numbers, though? Because what if I was taught that a man is something other than what everyone else thinks a man is? And then I rejected that idea. Because you're saying it's all dependent on what they're taught. You know what I'm saying? This is what they're taught.
Okay, not just like your mom says this is what a man is, but I mean that's a whole other story because if your mom is the only person you've talked to your whole life, then that's pretty bad.
Could be the case though.
But you have access to the outside world. You can see what is generally thought of as a man. You can see that.
Okay. Well, back to Rachel Dolezal.
Okay.
You're cool with that?
Am I cool with that?
Yeah.
Her saying that she's black?
Sure. Or do you think she's...
What exactly did she call herself? If she
black.
called herself African American, that's wrong.
She said she's black. And she might have said African American. I don't know. But there's a part in the documentary where she's like, I don't care what anybody says. This is what I am. I'm black.
Okay.
Or something to that effect. And it's like, fine, but you're not black. So look, here's where it relates to the gender thing is like, for her to say that there has to be some objective standard for what it is to be black, and she thinks that she can act and dress a certain way and be black. Which is wrong.
She views black as a culture and not a physical thing.
Which is not even a thing. There's no black culture. There's no objective black culture.
I mean, that's where race being a social construct comes into play.
No,
because you could have said anyone that has braids, you are called braid people.
Oh my gosh.
And anyone that has long straight hair, you're called straight hair people.
Oh
okay?
My gosh.
You could have said that, and those could have been races.
Those
could have been the races, right?
Seriously.
So when you put braids in your hair, look, I'm now a braid hair person, not a straight hair person.
But Chinese people have straight hair, and then some white people have straight hair, and then Irish folk have really, really tight curls sometimes.
Okay, well, back in the day, I could have lumped all those people together. You don't have to look at what their faces look like or what the color of their skin is. You could have said, you all have straight hair, you're all one. You are all one because you have straight hair.
But there are other very glaring differences.
There are glaring differences between a lot of people. You could have, I've said this a million times, you could have a long time ago discriminated based on eye color and not skin color. You could have said all people with green eyes, you are far less superior than the rest of us.
That wouldn't change that there are different skin colors, though.
But I'm saying they just picked skin color. You could have gone after anything else. Literally, they could have gone after anything else. They could have said people with black hair, you suck. You could have said, literally, they could have gone back in the day.
So
No. Back in the day, they could have said there are black-haired people, brown-haired people, redheads, blonde people. Those are the 4 races. Black, brown, blonde, red. Those are the races. That's what we're basing it off of, hair color. And then it's not a regional thing.
So you're sticking with it.
You could have said there are brown-eyed people, blue-eyed people, green-eyed people. Are there other eye colors?
I don't.
That's
no.
pretty much it, right?
You're sticking with there are no races.
I'm saying that the reason I think race is a social construct is because they just picked one of the many ways that you could differentiate people, and they just happened to pick skin color. There's nothing fundamentally different.
It's not just skin color, though.
Then what is it?
There are other attributes than skin color.
What? Are you about to bring up cultural things?
No, physical
what?
things. I mean, it's weird to say, but I mean,
Don't go there.
But there are physical sort of proclivities that happen with races, right?
No. I think it's regional.
Other than color.
I think it started as regional.
Okay, well then you're just talking about how like races are created, pretty much.
Yeah, but
like physically created,
regional, physically,
okay,
physical, regional differences.
Okay, that's fine. Regionally, like the region of the Earth grows different races. Right. That's fine to say.
Okay, they grow different looking people. They grow different looking people.
Okay, well, you're just taking the word race.
No, wait. Difference between them.
You're taking the word race and just replacing it with a phrase different looking people.
Only because that's what race should mean. Like, it's because race is attributed, like, people
I know.
talk about things.
I know.
Based on race.
I understand that, and not all of that is good. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the most bare bones idea about whether or not there are different races. I'm just saying there are different races, and I'm not saying. It seems like you're sort of like
in terms of what the definition of the word is.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. I'm not trying to get all that other baggage into it.
There shouldn't be, but there are.
Okay.
There should not be. There shouldn't. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Back to we could have picked anything. We just happened to pick skin color. You could have called it the brown-eyed race and the green-eyed race, and then it wouldn't be a regional thing. It would just be whoever happened to be born with brown eyes.
Don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Boy, that is true. That is true.
I think we should just. I don't know
when
if we
it came to discrimination back in the day, they could have picked anything.
I think we should specify. I don't know if we did that. We are multiracial guys.
Yes.
We're black and white. Or how would you say it, Nick?
I'm a person. I'm multiracial.
I'm a person that America grew in this.
Okay, stop.
This spot in the world.
Stop.
And I
in terms of the conventional, in the conventional definition, I'm multiracial.
Multiracial. Which races are your multiness made up of?
I'm a mix of.
We're black and white.
Caucasian American and African American.
Okay. Our dad's dark brown and our mom is whitish.
But in terms of conventional dictionary definitions, white and black.
What? Okay.
But you don't have to see it that way.
Sure.
You can see it however you want to see it.
Okay. Did we already specify that? I don't think we did.
No.
People like to know, though.
I guess.
They would probably call us white guys just listening.
You're opening a whole other can of worms.
You know, I got in a conversation with someone about this on
I don't know if I want
how they can. I mean, okay, I was joking when I said they'd probably call us white guys, but I only say that because
I mean you're not. They would. They would, and that's not cool. That's wrong.
It is wrong. It is wrong. But it's also, I mean, you could say that's wrong for me to assume that people would say that. In a way, it's like this roundabout.
You're kind of just like, I know people suck
Yeah.
So since people suck, they'll probably think
They'll
this.
probably think this.
Yeah.
Because they
suck.
Yeah.
Because they're wrong.
Different races
Because
speak different ways. Yeah.
Because they're wrong.
Exactly. Oh boy. Well, I was gonna go back. I mean, where are we here? I think we hit all the points on that as much as we're going to. What do you think?
Yeah,
Let me
the guy just should have made the cake. That's what this is all about.
It's all his fault.
Oh, my mic's off.
Oh, your headphones might have.
Don't laugh so loud.
Check 1 2. We're back. All right. Sorry.
Don't want to detect any feedback.
We had a feedback detection thing happening. Go Apple for that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't want to hear we don't want to blow people's eardrums out.
Right. For real. Anyway. Yes.
He should have made the cake. That's all I gotta say.
I just want to clear something up. I would prefer sex labels and gender labels to be synonymous, and then everybody just do what you want.
I would prefer that.
I don't see a need for so many labels.
I think I'm fine with whatever. I think that people should be called what they want to be called in a world where we have labels. But in a perfect world, we just wouldn't have labels at all. There wouldn't be male, female.
Oh my gosh. There has to be male, female.
No.
Nick, what type of language would you use to differentiate between someone with a penis and someone with a vagina?
I don't know.
That's a reality in front of you. This is the same with the race thing.
Yeah, but you don't have to distinguish it is the thing.
Yes, you do.
No, you don't.
Because the bodies are different.
But you don't have to.
How would you? Okay, so a doctor has to ask you whether you're born with one sex organ or the other. They have to ask you that. So how are you going to answer that? How are they going to ask it and how are you going to answer it?
Well, that's like if half the population only had one kidney, the doctor's going to be like, do you have both kidneys?
No, because that affects how they treat a patient, whether they're male or female.
So does if you have one kidney, that majorly affects how they treat you.
Okay, yeah, and you should tell them that you have one kidney.
Yeah,
but
so
I'm just saying,
if you are going to the doctor, hi, I'm Nick.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, Nick, so do you have any family history of heart issues? No, just me. Do you have any of your parents died before the age of 40? No.
Okay.
No. Do you have a penis or a vagina? I have a penis. Okay, cool. Do you...
Nick.
What? That's how it could be. It could be that way.
But listen, you're saying the exact same thing. The word male just means and only has to mean that you have a penis. It's just a one word part of the language.
It only has to mean that, but...
You're saying the same thing. That's all I'm saying.
People associate people with penises with being a certain way, and that's not true.
Okay, so you're going back to that thing with the race thing where you're loading in all this extra qualifiers to the word.
Race is just not real.
Okay, well, male and female is. You can't get around that.
Sure.
You can't just... Okay, male and female is. So you have to have a word to differentiate between one and the other. That doesn't mean you have to like pink or blue.
That's
true.
Part's true.
You are going to have a penis or a vagina, and there's going to be a word in the language to...
But it does... The reason I'm saying that you don't have to have those labels is because that does not define you.
No, but it is what you have.
But I'm saying...
It doesn't define you in the sense of what type of movies you like or how you like to dress, but it does define your biology. And there has to be a word to differentiate between the two different biologies.
But you could have... But no.
Yes.
No, because you don't have to go up to the doctor. Like, they say, are you... you have to check your gender on a box, right?
Yes.
But there are a million other things that you could use to identify yourself.
Oh my gosh.
That would get you treated differently at the doctor.
What do you mean?
Like, if it were very common for people to have extreme heart defects, then you'd have to... Then if you're talking about you have to differentiate between male and female, then you would have to, according to that logic, when you go up to the doctor, you'd have to say, hi, I'm Nick. I'm heart A.
What?
That's what I'm saying.
No, not heart A. What are you talking about?
There's two types, heart A, heart B.
Is there a heart?
No,
heart?
I'm just saying if this were a thing,
well, then it would need to be differentiated, right?
It would just come up at some point, I think.
And then probably be a word for it.
Yeah, but it's like saying, do you have hypertension or do you have not hypertension? It's like that. If you're at the doctor...
But what's the difference?
If you're in a doctor's appointment and the doctor's going through this list of things, oh, do you have hypertension? No. It'd be like, oh, do you have a penis or a vagina? Oh, I have a penis. Okay, let's move on.
What's the difference between that and saying, are you male or female? What's the difference?
Because the problem is that people associate male and female with other things.
Then they're stupid.
They shouldn't.
Then they're
right,
stupid
you're
for
right,
doing
but
that.
they do, and we can't change
Okay, well,
that.
I don't care. No, we're okay.
We can't
no.
change that.
Well, that doesn't mean you have to go like
all we can do is either make more
language.
labels or get rid of all the labels because we can't
not
change
No.
Oh.
You're taking a cultural label and now you're getting into biological labels
because I don't think they should be confused with each other, but they are.
And then they're
yes,
I'm gonna clip my mic.
No, they are stupid for assuming a male is this way and a female is this way. But we cannot. The only way to get past it is to either erase it all and start over from scratch, or just start to accept all these other labels.
That's not.
Make the freaking cake, dude.
No.
This is all that baker's fault.
No, listen,
I hate you. I hate this.
Why
baker.
does it have to be all or nothing? Why can't it be? Look, when the doctor asks you if you're male or female, he doesn't give anything. He doesn't care how you dress. He doesn't care what type of movies you like. He's asking if you have testicles or ovaries.
So you could ask that.
It's the same thing.
But the problem is they assume something about you if you say you're male or you're female. That's the problem.
What?
And I know that they shouldn't.
And how do you know that everyone assumes that, or if it's just some people? I'm not saying that everyone does,
just widely.
Okay, so you're gonna change the rules of language to blanket over everyone because some people associate masculinity.
It is not some people
with male.
No, this would not be a discussion if it were just some people.
Why not?
Because it has been like this for thousands of years.
Oh my gosh.
Man
Nick,
and woman.
I'm going to grab your hands again.
Do not grab my hands.
It's not, look, at the very least, you have to have a word in the language to differentiate between those born with ovaries and those born with testicles.
And that all the language needs to be is, I have testicles or I have ovaries.
Okay, well, good for you. Well, then they'll just start associating masculinity with I have testicles. It's the same freaking situation.
Because humans have this strange need for labels. And I'm trying to embrace that by saying, the label needing thing by saying, if we're going to have labels, recognize them all.
I don't think humans inherently have a need for labels.
Yes, they
I don't think so.
Then what?
I think we have a thirst for communication.
Effective
communication.
No. There is a need for labels for all these different things that you subscribe to, whether it be so there's all these different religions, right?
I have to pee so bad. Hang on one second. I'm just gonna keep it rolling.
Don't keep it rolling. What? Why?
Okay.
What am I gonna talk about by
we're
myself?
We're gonna take a quick break. So where did we leave off just now?
Religion,
labels.
Because humans need labels. They shouldn't, but they do, and I hate it.
So you think?
But it's necessary.
You think religion is the result of needing a label? That's a
go
big
pee,
old box of ideas, right?
Go pee. Go pee.
Okay, we're gonna go pee. All right, everyone, you're listening to Throwing Spaghetti with Nick and Dylan.
Open it, sticks.
Yeah. Ciao.
All
right, everybody. Back with Throwing Spaghetti, Nick and Dylan.
Hoping it sticks.
Hoping it sticks. Now, we were talking about labels.
Yeah, so what I was going to say is that when, there were religions that didn't maybe have a name.
Okay.
They were all just beliefs. Collective beliefs thought by many people.
Okay.
That were different than the collective beliefs thought by another group of people.
Okay.
So they said, well, what are you? Like, what? You're not like us. You're different. You think different things. You are different. Well, we're Christian people. What are you? Well, we're Jewish. That's what we are. I'm just saying. And then eventually people discriminated based on those identities. All I'm saying is that labels don't have to exist. But
exactly my point.
But they do, because there's a distinction.
We need to differentiate between labels and just like words that mean something. Like there's a bottle right here. It's a bottle. That's not a label.
It is a label. I mean, it's a label.
Okay, well then some labels are freaking necessary. How are we supposed to communicate without having words to describe what is around us?
Right. Okay. Yes.
Okay.
So what
Meaning,
when
what's around us is a penis and a vagina, you have to have words to differentiate.
But it's deeper than physical.
No, I'm talking
You're
about
right.
the physical.
And
there's nothing wrong with having a word, with classifying someone with a particular physical
attribute. There's a difference between sex and gender. There is.
Oh, I'm talking about sex, though.
Well,
that's all I'm talking about. You said that we should not have sexual labels. We should just say, I have a penis.
In a perfect world, maybe we would all just be people. I'm a person who has a penis. What do you have?
You're saying the same thing, though. I'm a male. I'm a person who has a penis. It's the same thing. You're not fixing anything by doing that.
But I'm saying you could pick anything. You could differentiate on anything else.
What?
Because
can't.
Because if there's going to be black and white, then it could be I'm black and I have a vagina.
What?
Because what we're doing right now is saying I'm a male.
Yes, because
and the
you
rest
have a penis.
is arbitrary. Your race, the color of your skin, whatever. We could easily reverse it. We could easily flip it around.
What are you talking about?
And say the identifying feature about me is I'm Asian.
It's not about...
Okay, are you an Asian person with a penis or an Asian person with a vagina?
It's not about you or any particular individual. It's about the universal truth that there are two genitalias.
Well,
that's
also not really true.
Oh my God. Okay, yeah, intersex, with a very minute population of a combination of the two usual genitalias. Like I said, there's no alien, weirdo, freaking third version of genitalia. It's usually a combination of the two that we know.
Okay.
So there are two. Okay. There's nothing wrong with having scientific definitions.
Okay.
To differentiate between bodies that have one part and bodies that have another part.
Okay, but...
That's okay. That doesn't necessarily have to equate to masculinity or femininity.
The problem is that we do associate those things, which is why we should be calling people what they want to be called, so that we can break that connection between penis and man.
So you're fine with male and female sticking around? Because you were kind of saying that you think we should do away with that.
I mean, in a perfect world, we would just all be people.
Yeah, but we're not. That's not going to happen.
We're not.
It's never going to happen.
So in a world where there are labels, I'm fine with male and female. But it has come to a point where we have associated far too much of masculinity and femininity with male and female. And the only way to get past that is by disconnecting them.
Yeah.
And how you disconnect them is by recognizing all of the other labels when it comes to gender. Because gender is not a sex thing.
I disagree. I think you get past it just by talking about it and just by realizing that
But that's what people are doing, and it's not working.
Well, neither is recognizing the labels. I mean, you can't say that anything's working right now necessarily.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's true.
We're all still talking about it, but I don't know. You're saying that we shouldn't equate male to masculinity, and that the way to break that is to recognize more labels that sort of recognize masculinity with male. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the whole transgender thing, is that there's a definition for male and female when it comes to everything, when it comes to fashion and interests and all that. And there's an objective standard.
There's masculine and there's feminine.
Right.
There's not a male way of dressing.
Sorry, there's a man way of dressing.
There's a masculine way.
Masculine way of dressing, which normally is associated with males.
Normally.
So it kind of perpetuates the whole thing. Well, in a weird way.
It's only because we're in a place where we can't get rid of having labels.
You can't get rid of all of it.
Right. We're in a world where there are labels.
There are labels.
So you embrace it by accepting more labels, I think.
I think that's silly. Because some labels are necessary. They're there because they're necessary, and,
Right, and
some are not
the
necessary.
gender that you identify as, in a world where we cannot change the fact that people associate one gender with one sex.
You might be able to change that.
Since we are in that world, I do think you need to have more labels for all the genders.
You're operating from a very specific definition of gender, though.
I don't know what you mean.
You are. Like, you're saying, in a world where people associate this gender with this sex,
Mhm.
whatever, you're assuming that gender is separate from sex.
Yes.
And that's the whole, like, crux of it all, really. Because I think we should try to change the perspective where gender and sex are synonymous. And when
but I don't think that will happen.
when I say that, I don't mean that masculinity and penis are synonymous.
Mhm.
I'm just saying that you could use gender and sex interchangeably, both meaning you have one or the other in between your legs, not having any bearing on how you approach the world or how you dress or anything like that. So that's what I'm talking
Then
about.
why is there the word gender and the word sex then?
I don't know.
If it should be synonymous, then shouldn't it just be called one thing?
I would, yeah, that's what I, yeah.
But people want a way to identify how they are different than that.
And where does that need come
You're
from?
more complex than man, woman.
Where does that come from, I wonder? That's so
Because there are
bothering
other
me.
people, like, if I feel a certain way, there are other people that feel like that. And we might be similar to each other, but we're all different than the conventional stereotype
But
of a man.
everyone is unique, though. How
I'm
many?
not talking about necessarily just being unique. There
Okay.
are, like, characteristic differences. You can fit into a category because there are going to be a bunch of other people who are like you. You know what I mean? Are you following?
Sure.
That's where the need for extra labels comes from, is because there's all these people who don't feel like they are this or they are that. They want to be called something different because they know they are something different.
They know they are.
They know they are.
Okay, so then we just go back to what I know, that I'm a lizard. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying, though?
I know what you're saying, but it's not like that.
How do you know that?
Because through hundreds of years, we have made masculine be associated with male, and it doesn't have to be that way. Because we
Right.
didn't know that there were more ways to be.
No.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my gosh. I really think
If some article came out that said, OMG, newsflash, people are now allowed to be lizards.
They
Then,
would be
okay,
insane.
we didn't know it before, and now we know.
It's not that you know
and
it.
now it's
No.
that you can be on this whole gender spectrum, and we didn't think that before. As a
No.
collective society, we did not recognize that before. Now we're starting to realize that, these are legitimate things.
But you are talking about it as if it's some discovery. It's some objective truth that we have discovered.
Because it kind of is a discovery.
It kind of is not.
No, it's just like mental disabilities.
Yeah.
We used to put people with mental or physical disabilities in circuses or just let them die because we were like, oh man, this is messed up. They're not supposed to be like this. They should be dead, or we should put them on display. We grew and got smarter and realized, oh wow, these are people and we should treat them the same way, and we need to call it something because it's something different.
But that's something objective.
That's all it is something different.
That's something that you can look at. This person has a deformity or a disability or something like that.
It's
right?
not always something you can look at.
Or
schizophrenia,
or a mental or a mental disability.
You can't look at it. You can't look at someone and know.
Okay, but you could diagnose it, right? There are other
and you can diagnose
I'm talking
what gender
about,
you are.
No.
Yes.
No, because I'm talking about this perspective that, I don't feel quite right, or like I'm an outcast at school, right? And I happen to like Hello Kitty, but I have a penis. So I guess that makes me non-binary.
No,
bulls.
no.
I don't think it's like that. But a lot of people are doing that. That's really like what really confuses me though, and what really I think muddies the whole conversation.
Well, I think you're
because wait. When someone says, "I really don't think my penis should be down there," okay, I think that's a separate thing. And when I first learned about transgenderism, it was in sociology class in college, and I was like really intrigued. It's like, man, that's an interesting idea, because maybe science just isn't advanced enough to tell which one is the defect. Is it the brain or is it the body?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Maybe there really is, but then you have to accept that there's a male brain and a female brain if you go there. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't want to accept that, but
no, I think
there's that sort of intriguing idea, but a lot of people that I've listened to just say, I prefer this type of fashion on this day, or this type of game, or this type of movie, or something like that. And so they're like, well, I guess they diagnose themselves into this type of fantasy category, which I think is confusing everybody.
Well,
That's
based solely on the type of movie you like. I think that's just dumb.
People are doing that, man.
Well, people shouldn't do that.
People are doing that.
If you really, really, really feel like you are a certain way,
yeah,
down to your core.
So could we agree on that? There's a difference between liking a certain fashion or having a certain interest in deeming that either masculine or feminine. There's a difference between that person and someone who says, I should have a vagina instead of a penis. Like, it's really...
Well, yeah, there's a difference between those people.
Okay, well, that's what I'm saying. But they're both under transgender.
But, yeah,
because
gender is not related to sex.
Okay, so we're talking about transgender versus trans sex.
Because a person who is a male who dresses feminine,
yeah,
but likes females, there's a word for that. There might be a gender for that.
What?
That's what I'm saying.
Why? What?
Because they feel different. They don't feel like a masculine man, but they don't feel that they are a female. They're just somewhere in between. They're on this spectrum. It's a sliding scale.
And where's the end of the scale? What's at the end of it?
The most masculine and the most feminine are the polar.
Okay. Can you define those for me? So that I know exactly where I am.
That is defined culturally, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
So someone who's like at one point on the spectrum in America can go to Egypt and be on a different point in the spectrum.
Yes.
So they're
So you look at people in Europe. There are guys in Europe that would come here and dress the way they dress in Europe, and we would think that they're more feminine.
So their identities should change?
Not necessarily.
Okay,
I mean,
so it's like all this stuff just is like,
I think,
tossed and shifts with the tide.
Well, that's where it comes to whatever they prefer to be identified as.
Yeah.
There can be a straight masculine male who lives somewhere in Europe that wears fishnet stockings.
Yeah.
And he can come here. I mean, I'm not saying that that's like commonplace in Europe. I don't really know. But let's say it is.
Okay. Let's
say it is. All the masculine men in Europe wear fishnet stockings. Just take that soundbite.
Yeah.
No. So let's say all of the masculine men in Europe wear fishnet stockings.
Soundbite 2.
Someone comes here from Europe and they are a masculine male. They're wearing fishnet stockings. We're going to think people in our culture will likely think that they are not that. But if they identify as a masculine male, that's how they dress.
So
then they are.
The label is a reaction to what everyone else is thinking. You need a label to protect you from what everyone else assumes you might be, or what?
I don't even know what that question means. What?
I don't know, man. Look, I'm just saying.
He should have baked the cake.
He should have baked the cake.
He should have just baked the cake. We could have avoided this whole thing. That's what I'm saying.
okay. I feel like I always have to clarify my position after we get going.
Why? Because people are gonna think you're the a-hole, not the cake
Yeah,
baker.
they're gonna say I'm the transphobic a-hole. Look,
You're
I'm
not transphobic.
I'm not transphobic. Everybody knows that. Everybody that knows me knows that. Except for one, maybe.
Was that me?
No, it's not you.
Oh,
It's
okay.
someone that we know. But
Oh,
anyway,
I'm with you.
no, I'm not transphobic. It's mostly about the language and about like the need for labels. And I talked about this earlier with some other people about like the need for representation and this sort of need to just like find your place based on what you call yourself or what you see around you. And I don't know. I just have a totally opposite perspective on the world. I just, I'm this person. I am what I am, and I have my own interests, and I'm just going to try to do a good job at what I do, pretty
That's
much.
fair.
It's not like...
It's just...
I don't need validation, pretty much. I don't need to... all this external stuff, and I don't need... changing my label, I mean, you call me what you want. I don't really care. It doesn't change me.
Okay,
know
but
what
we
I'm
don't live in a world where everyone's like you.
I know.
And it is
I know
human nature to put labels on things.
Is it a good idea, though?
I don't know.
Is it always a good idea?
Not always, no.
Yeah. So maybe it's not a good idea in this case.
I think
Potentially.
that it was not a good idea for race, but it's a good idea for gender. And you, I think, feel the opposite.
I don't know how you reconcile those two ideas.
What do you mean?
I don't know. How is it? It's not good for race, but it's good for gender.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you just have all the problems that you think we have with race just manifest in gender?
No.
Why?
I don't know.
We've reached the limit.
We're there. We are there.
Of our intellect on this topic.
Yeah, I am.
Goodness.
Yeah, I mean, labels are not always a good thing.
Yeah.
I think.
It's interesting.
Okay.
Stuff.
Okay. I personally don't think that we should have labeled race the way that we do.
Okay.
But that's only because it was used for evil. And I think any label is a good label if it can be used for progress and creating equality.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would argue that differentiating between races now, based on what we see in front of us, is not necessarily evil. I think what you're talking about, the motives you're referring to, are probably not good. They're probably bad. But I mean, we've already settled the race thing. I think we were confused with each other for a little bit, but I think we're fine with that. I don't know. I don't want to dig it up again.
I'm glad that you think we're fine.
Are we fine? I feel like we're in this weird space where we both kind of agree on the way things should be. But yeah, it's like how we get there, we're going opposite directions.
Yeah. I think that we can use labels for good. People should recognize differences between people and how they choose to identify.
Neat.
That should be okay.
So just a slight spin off of that. There's a bunch of different pronouns out there.
There are pronouns, yes.
Like a bunch. Z, them, zer kind of stuff. What do you think about that? You think it's reasonable to expect people to use those?
They should be... I don't know. I think if someone prefers to be called that, I'm going to call them that. Everyone should call people what they want to be called. My name's Nick. If you call me Richard, I'm going to be like, that's not my name. I don't respond to Richard. I don't identify as Richard. By the way, I saw Richard at the fair.
You did?
Weekend. Yeah.
What?
He said, hey.
Richard T.
They're having a baby.
I saw that on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
He said, hey?
Yeah.
Hey, Richard.
Well, he was like, I thought you were Dylan for a second. And I was like, no, I'm not. But
Richard, I love you, buddy. Hope things are going well.
I'm about to reach for my water and it's not there.
Is it the one on the bathroom counter?
Probably.
Do I have to get it? I'm like really comfy. I'll get it.
Well, that's weird because I didn't say anything about you getting it, but sure, go ahead.
You just haven't moved yet to go get it.
I mean, I'm not like dying.
Do you want your water?
If you want to get it. I'm going to sing to myself while you're gone.
Sing to the audience.
Memory, all alone in the moonlight. Nothing. I was not singing. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Anyway, my name's Nick, not Richard. Don't call me Richard. I don't respond to Richard. I don't identify as Richard. Is that fair? Is that fair?
I suppose.
Okay.
I just think it's.
I identify as a
things.
straight man. You can call me him. You can call me he. You can call me boy.
Boy.
You can call me big guy. You can call me buddy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Only if you mean buddy and big guy in like a friendly way. If you're trying to use it as like I'm more powerful than you and I want you to feel like you are a piece of crap, I'm going to call you big guy. Don't do that. Only I can do that.
I feel like when it comes to social utility, it can be maybe not so great. Especially if you have a bunch of different people with a bunch of different made-up pronouns. And you're trying to be respectful of... if you're trying to be respectful of 25 people that you're talking about, then you got to just keep switching it up.
Well,
it's
yeah,
like,
but it's just like names. It's just like names. We just need to be aware that these things exist.
No, because you kind of just, without thinking, you know someone's name. When you're talking about them, you just say the name. But
and we should be at a point where, without thinking, you can respond to them how they want to be.
No.
Yes, we should be at a
point. What about with the gender fluid folks who change their pronouns every day?
Well, it's their responsibility to let people know how they want to be referred to. But
I don't know. I think it's kind of
in the same way that you can forget someone's name 2 seconds after they told you, you might forget their pronoun. That's okay. Correct yourself or ask them again, just like you would if you forgot their name. It's the same thing.
I don't dig it. I don't dig it.
Well, you're just lazy and you have short-term memory loss, probably.
I don't know.
I will call people whatever they want to be called.
There was I will too, to the best of my ability.
Well, yeah, and that's all you can expect is that people will try their best.
Yeah, I suppose. I don't know about.
But actually, try your best.
I mean I don't know. I don't know. Whenever I think about they, them, their, I get hung up on that too sometimes. When I think about myself actually using it in a conversation, I don't know. You know, there's a case that was made that language is organically developed as it's useful. And never has there been like a forcible element to language that you force onto people, because generally we use what's useful.
Right, but this is useful and people are rejecting it is the problem.
Is it useful though?
Yes.
We don't know that it's useful.
I think it's useful. You're talking to people the way they want to be talking. Like
that's not useful. That's just like compliant.
It is useful because
compliant.
Well, but by doing so, you can then you will learn those definitions. It'll help you recognize the differences between all the genders if there are different pronouns for them.
That's accepting that there are different genders though.
Right. And that should be accepted.
And
that's why there's a forcible change in language.
I don't believe...
is because we're just now realizing that there are these differences.
Okay, well...
and so they should be referred to differently.
As we've established, that's debatable. Also...
as I have established, I don't think it is debatable.
I think it is. Therefore, there's a debate.
Well,
so...
you're wrong.
And also, there's no objective chart that says what pronouns go to which gender. You just make it up. Just make up your gender and then make up a pronoun to go with it if you want.
Is that true? I don't actually know.
I'm pretty sure that's true.
Well,
interesting stuff though.
Interesting
stuff.
Very interesting
to get into. Not transphobic. Neither one of us.
I feel like, oh no,
what do you mean
I'm
you're
definitely not?
I'm definitely not either.
Well, I mean, I'm saying that I don't have to clarify.
Yeah.
You might. To some
do have
people,
to
you
clarify.
might come across that way.
I'm sure I do.
Even though I know that you're not, and I completely understand what you're saying. Not everyone is as smart as me. So while I may recognize that you are not transphobic, some people might hear one thing you say and be like, what a douche.
Oh, for sure. You know, I haven't got any hate comments on YouTube yet. Maybe we will with this podcast.
Let's hope.
We'll finally get some trolls.
True.
Shall feel?
Shall definitely feel.
Nice.